Kevin McCullough from the shadow of the Freedom Tower, across the street from the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, and just north of Trinity Church, the most historic cemetery in the country. And if you're watching the AFA channel on television or online, that was a shot of Fifth Avenue. Very busy, bold, sunny day in New York, and we're glad that you're with us. My phone number is 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Just a reminder, July 12th to the 19th is 8 Days of Hope, and if you would be so kind as to be able to volunteer time and to come to Tupelo to help victims of the tornadoes, they need your help. And if you can basically do any kind of carpentry, finishing work, electricity, etc., they need you. Lodging and food are provided for the 8 days. Just got to get here. So we hope that you will check it out. 8daysofhope.com. 8daysofhope.com is the website. 8 Days of Hope. And that's, again, July 12th through the 19th. So that week, they will be helping the families in the Tupelo, Mississippi area, an area that is very important, even to one who lives in New York. I care about Tupelo. I want to have Tupelo be helped. It's important that Tupelo stay on its feet. So let's do all that we can. 8daysofhope.com will take care of that. If you've listened to Kevin McCullough for any length of time over the years, you know that one of the things that drives me daily is that there needs to be vehicles of truth that communicate to a mainstream of America that do not pay attention and have no patience for, to be candid, the people of faith, the body of faith, the influence of faith in our culture. It is not unlike the New Testament era when Paul was in places that needed to hear the truth, but they weren't necessarily willing to hear it. But there are ways and tools at our disposal in 2014 that there just wasn't 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And my next guests are people that are realizing that technological advancement, and they are doing something about it. And they join us in the Tupelo studios of the American Family Association. Jeremy and Kendra White, brother and sister team. Welcome, Kevin McCullough. Glad to have you here.
Thanks so much.
It's great to be here with you.
I get pretty excited about a lot of the news and stuff that's going on, but when we have a chance to interface with people that are attempting to take media and put a message behind it so that it does something for the greater good of the culture, I'm always excited about that. You guys are pretty young to be in the movie business. My business partner is Stephen Baldwin. I know a lot of the mainstream industry. But tell me a little bit about how you got into, felt called to do what you're doing on the movie Summer Snow right now.
You know, that's great. I love what you said earlier about using film as a vehicle to convey truth. And I was actually in China for the Olympics in 2008, and both my brother and I got to work on different Olympics, and met several of the university students there, and in talking with them, found out how influential the film industry was on all cultures, not only American culture, but I realized that the students were taking their opinions of Western civilization based on the movies that we saw. So when they see broken families, when they see sex outside of marriage, that's what they assume is the cultural norm. And they were so shocked when I said, no, I live by a different standard, a different way of living. And I realized that, I've had a call on my life to be a missionary, but I realized that I could influence more cultures through film and go places that I may never physically be able to through storytelling. And so that's kind of how I got my calling into filmmaking. And, Summer Snow is a story about a family. And, you don't realize sometimes how different a film is from other, Hollywood blockbuster hits until you start looking and saying, you know what? This is a family that loves each other. It's about, we see a couple that, honors purity in their relationship. And these aren't crazy, wild things for Christians. But when you compare that with the other ideologies that are
actually,
out there.
Kendra, I would disagree with you. I think that the part of the problem of the ineptness of the American existence right now is that we have Christians that are not definably different from the mainstream of the culture. So what you're doing, in as much as you're doing it, it is reinforcing what Christians should be knowing and living as much as it is demonstrating a difference to the culture outside of them.
Very true. And it stands out as radically different. When you have a family that prays together or loves each other or, in a time of trouble, clings to the Lord, that stands out as dramatically different. And there's such power in storytelling to be able to influence. And that's why I have my calling.
All right, that's Kendra White. She's joining us today from the studios of the American Family Association. And the American Family Studios is a fairly new work of the 38-plus year ministry of American Family. Jeremy, talk to us a little bit about how that division of AFA came about.
Sure. Well, and really, we view this as kind of the culmination of 30-plus years of ministry, the legacy that Don Wildman, when he founded the ministry, began. He was watching TV, and there was nothing good on. His family couldn't sit down and watch television. And so he said, you know what, we need to change media. And for so long, we've just been reacting, hey, we shouldn't be watching this, and trying to point out the things to do different. And now it's exciting because we're able to offer, hey, this is a solution. This is what film and media can be, and this is something that can be glorifying God. In fact, I love Brother Don. He once said that the purpose of television ought to be to encourage, to uplift, and to inspire. And this film, Summer Snow, is one that does just that. The whole family is going to be able to gather together, and they will be encouraged. They'll be inspired. They'll be uplifted by watching this family and all the struggles and challenges that they go through. And they're struggles and challenges that the audience will be able to relate to as well. They'll say, hey, we've gone through that. I know what it's like to have those kinds of situations happening in our household. So hopefully it's something that everybody can have a takeaway from.
That'll be interesting. Summer Snow is the name of the feature. It's the first feature from the American Family Studios. And either one of you that want to take this question, go ahead. But what's the arc on this? When does it come out? How can people go see it? How can they get involved? Is there a way for them to rally people to get it shown in their area if it's not currently slated to?
Yes. Right now we are going to a few select theaters. And really, this is our first venture out. And so we're being very selective in the cities that we're opening in on July 25th. But, after that, we're going to have a world broadcast that'll hopefully be much more accessible. And then as well DVDs by the end of the year. So you can follow us on Facebook right now at summersnowmovie.com. That's the best place. We encourage you to share this with your films because our success is dependent upon the grassroots effort. We don't have Hollywood budgets to be able to promote this film. So we're relying on the body of Christ saying, hey, this is the kind of entertainment that we want for our families. And we're relying on you all telling your friends, telling your pastor. We have a ton of resources that'll be available in just a few days. If you want to take a letter to your pastor and say, hey, I think our church needs to get behind this film. You can change your little things like change your Facebook profile picture. Or we have suggested emails that you can send to everyone in your contact list to tell them, hey, I believe in what AFS is doing. And the American Family Association's arm can reach a little bit further.
And you can go online, summersnowmovie.com, and we also have trailers there, bonus little scenes that you can watch. So a lot of cool, fun things to be able to check out.
June 25th, it's in studio.
July 25th.
In theater. July 25th, it's in theaters in some select areas. And when we get closer to that release date, we will make those dates known, and you can demonstrate your support. Let me just address the audience on this level. What this opening means is incredibly important to the life of a film. And people, we've been reporting on this all year. You've seen the success that faith-oriented films have had in the mainstream this year. It's going to be a record year for Christian films on almost every level, box office, pay-per-view, DVD, etc. But it's really vital, friend, that as we get to July 25th and we make that list of theaters available, that if you want to see more entertainment produced in this fashion, that you commit yourself to going to work for it. You commit yourself to getting friends to the theater a couple of times. Maybe you go see it more than once. I mean, you'll do that for other films that you've looked forward to. I saw Lord of the Rings, I don't know, 5-6 times.
Right.
But you do that and you don't even think about it. For something that is going to change culture, that's going to have influence in people's lives, we should commit ourselves, at the very least, to the same thing. So July 25th, make that opening weekend big, hot, and heavy, and it might have an extended life into theaters beyond that. And then as it comes out, obviously encourage your friends to use it in the other capacities that it does as well. Kendra and Jeremy, an honor to have you with us today.
Yes,
Is there anything you want to add before we go?
You know, the theme of the story is that one life can make a difference. And we believe that listeners can help this film get out there. It might just be one connection that opens doors for this film. So
people often feel they're too small. I can't do anything. What can one person do? But one person can have a difference. You can see it in this film. You can see it with the life of Brother Don, and your life can make a difference as well, even for this film.
Kind of an interesting connection between this radio broadcast and that film. This was the original radio broadcast that Brother Don started before the network even existed. Yes, AFA Today, AFS Studios, we are linked at the hip, even if we're in New York and Tupelo separately. But this is a phenomenal thing. And I just want to clear something up here, because I'm already seeing that there's probably people with confused looks on their faces. Summer snow. Let me just make this disclaimer right here, right now. I'm fairly confident that it's not about global warming, climate change,
so true.
Al Gore's lockbox, or just about anything else that you might associate both summer and snow.
Not quite, yeah.
It's
the Statue of
entertaining.
Liberty is not going to drown in the Atlantic Ocean in this. We're not talking about the melting of the ice caps. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm hoping it's not.
It's entertaining, and the whole family can enjoy it. Kids are going to laugh. It's a comedy.
You'll laugh,
it's
you'll
a
cry.
drama.
It takes you through the whole gamut of emotions.
Very, very good. I just wanted to put
politics.
that disclaimer out there, so we knew for sure what we were going to get. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Yes, thank
Have
you.
a good one.
All right, Kevin McCullough, glad to be with you. 888-589-8840. Again, there'll be more information about that. You can check the websites, and summersnow.com is the easiest way to do it. I pulled it up. They've already got like 4,100 followers on Facebook. Just throw your stuff in there and join them. It's going to be a fun ride. Now, I opened the show with this kind of blockbuster news piece, and I want to talk to you about it. The Royal College of Psychiatry has said very clearly, very plainly, in no uncertain terms, no one is born gay. That's the headline of their official statement on a study that they've just released. That they say there's all kinds of environmental causes for why people choose to engage in homosexual behavior, and that's what they mean by being born gay. It's funny because you have to really understand the definitions of what people are saying. And the majority of the reasons Christians have continued to lose the argument on the issue of homosexuality in the culture is because we've succumbed to yielding the definition of the words. We'll say things like, born gay. Who's not born happy? What are you talking about? And we fail to consistently hold accountable people having the conversations that talking about a state of being, as in he is developmentally disabled, or he is African American, or she is female, a state of being that is defined as something that's predetermined, you didn't have any choice in, et cetera, that is very, very different than choosing behavior. And the Royal College of Psychiatry, the #1 psychiatric training ground in Great Britain, and one of the most respected in the world, has come out today and said no one is born gay. No one is, in other words, no one is born automatically choosing, predetermined, predestined to engage in homosexual behavior. Friends, this absolutely crushes the fundamental support for what people have built an entire activist movement around, and it knocks the legs out from underneath it. Because if homosexual behavior is a choice, and it always is, then there is no need to change laws. There is no need to change definitions of words. There is certainly no need to change the definition of a family. Now, you want to live a homosexual life, you want to engage in homosexual behavior, you want to do that stuff, there's no laws that are stopping you. To my knowledge, I don't know of any laws in the United States where you can't go and have a boyfriend if you're a boy. But at the end of the day, that's not what the activists wanted. What they wanted was a desire to shut down anyone who had an opposing view to that behavior. And so they first started by trying to get churches to just change their mind on that. That didn't work. And then they tried government, and that hasn't worked. And they've not won a vote on it just outright in any state ever. 888-589-8840. Your reaction to the fact that the Royal College of Psychiatry has announced that no one is born in that way. We'll take your calls. Here's one other story I wanted to get to, and if we had time, I think I can roll it in here, and then we can take calls the rest of the way. A Utah high school has done something radical, in my view. Have you noticed just how little clothing high school students put on these days? And friends, it is not flattering most of the time. No one wants to see that stuff hanging over the top of your all-too-shorty shorts. No one wants to see more skin than is appropriate. No one does. So the high school decided to do something very unusual. Before they delivered the yearbooks to the students this year, they went through and they determined all of the kids that showed too much skin, and they photoshopped extra clothing on them. Now, students are upset because they're like, I didn't wear that for the day of my picture. I wanted to see what I had worn on that day in that picture. Your reaction to that as well. Did the high school go too far in photoshopping the students' high school yearbooks if they felt like they were too, quote, sexy? Kevin McCullough, glad you're with us. 888-589-8840. More right here on AFA Today on AFR Talk. We'll take your calls on both of these stories. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. It is AFA Today on AFR Talk. I'm Kevin McCullough.